I'm Virginia Chamlee.
And I'm Tom Canfield.
And this is my one-room challenge. We have been together for close to 8 years, but this was our first home purchase. It's sort of a Mediterranean style 1920s house, and I just really loved it. So we already had a challenge, and it was the one room of our kitchen, and I figured might as well just set myself to a timetable, and that way I know that it has to be done within 6 weeks. When we first saw it, it just looked kind of like a disaster, and it was really dark, and the tile on the floor was dark, and the ceiling was really low. So we sort of lightened it and brightened it up and made it kind of crazy and fun, and now I love spending time in the kitchen. Yeah, we definitely almost killed each other like 25 times, I would say. In the middle of renovating the kitchen, Hurricane Irma hit Jacksonville, and the house was nowhere near complete. We had no floors in half of the house. We were sleeping on air mattresses. We had no cable or internet, but we spent the weekend here and sort of rode out the storm, as they say. During the evacuation, we were actually working on the house. You know, all the businesses here were closed, so we figured, why don't we just paint? But I think it gave us a deeper appreciation for the kitchen and all that we sort of went through in the house. So my aesthetic is very eclectic. I love going to thrift stores and antique stores and estate sailing and live auctions. I've been known to pick art out of people's trash. So I like a lot of color. I like mixing like mid-century with new and old. My favorite antique pieces in the kitchen are these pink and brass cantilevered stools, and I got them at a thrift store for $35. I got them probably 4 years ago. I did not have a kitchen island when I got them, but I said I have to have these, and they will just sit in my living room until I have a place to put them. The shelves in the kitchen, they're styled entirely with thrift store finds, so there's some vintage pottery, it's all signed, like a really interesting Jaru sculpture of a woman. There are 2 vases that look like faces, and I'm pretty sure they were probably someone's high school art project at some point, but they're 2 of my favorite pieces. The sconces over the windows, so one of those I found at a thrift store, and it was just kind of the perfect piece for the space, but there was only one. So I searched for weeks and I found its mate online. So one of them cost like $10 at the thrift store, and one was more like $100 online. What we really wanted to do was rip the floors out and create all new floors, get new tiles, but that was just going to be very costly, and it would definitely take a lot longer than the one-room challenge allowed. So we got concrete paint and got some painter's tape and just went to town. I think it took us about 2 days. So it was definitely a lot of using what we had and making the most of it. The biggest demo portion was the ceiling. When we first moved in, the ceiling was drop down, it was really low. It had these sort of laminate tiles. So we ripped all of that out, and my uncle installed new can lights and new lighting fixtures. So there was definitely demo with that, but mostly it was just making really good use of what we had. I see it on a lot of home shows. People will go into a kitchen, they say, oh, I love the house, but I hate the cabinets. When in reality, you can just repaint them and take out the old hardware and modernize it with new hardware. That's definitely an easy DIY. The same thing goes for the floors. Painting floors is really, really easy. I think people get overwhelmed by that as well. You know, if you mess up, you can just repaint.
I'd say the bulk of our time was spent painting, picking out the right kind of paints, going to the store to get all the brushes.
We went through a lot of brushes.
Yeah.
The one thing that I definitely hired out and probably would not want to do myself is the backsplash. I wanted it to be really, really perfect, and I was spending a lot of money on the tiles and the grout, so I wanted to ensure that it looked really good, and I don't know that I quite have the patience to do that myself. I mean, we definitely, having just bought a house, you know, we didn't really want to spend a whole lot of money on it. But by keeping the existing cabinets, the existing floors, and just investing in a few cans of paint and some hardware for the doors, we were able to keep it really, really under budget. I'm very proud that Tom had a lot of patience in me, because it was probably not easy working with me on a home renovation. I am very, very particular. Even when I had totally crazy ideas, he's like, okay, let's do it. And it turned out really well.
It just feels really great that we did it all ourselves.
I think people get very, very overwhelmed by renovation projects, and you know what, I really had no experience doing this. I'm a creative person, but I had never bought a home before. I'm not really that crafty of a person, and me and my boyfriend and my uncle pretty much did all of this ourselves. So if you have like a big goal and you really want to change a room, it's definitely doable, and you can probably do it yourself. Thank you guys so much. I'm so glad I got to share this room with you.